So we'll go ahead and call to order here. Thanks everybody for coming. Welcome to 2026 and a sort of new format for the meeting. We will get started with a roll call. So we'll just run on down the line here. Michael Anderson.
Here.
Emma Bork.
Here.
John Clayton. Not yet. Ben Grimm.
Here.
Zach Harrelson here. Cole Cruz.
Here.
Nadia Krylov.
Here.
Wim Murray.
Here.
Catherine Peterson.
Here.
Brenda Shetty.
Here.
Awesome. Well, thank you. So then, staff members as well in the room.
Sarah Gardner present.
Jane Gould present.
Diane Black present.
Good deal. And then just quickly, we'll get approval of last month's minutes. Any corrections needed that anyone noted from last month? Okay. Not seeing any then, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
And a second. All right. Any, everybody in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okey doke. Perfect. Okay, well then diving right in. We will move to action items from last meeting. And we've got a progress report on waste to be shared this month, right?
Yep, today, and you'll see Jane Welch was with us to present that, so.
Great.
We might wait on the climate ambassador trainings until Kendall is in the room, as in terms of upcoming events. She is, we'll just say broadly, getting ready to offer our community-wide climate ambassador training. And generally, we make this available as well to any commission members who might be interested in participating and haven't gone through it before. I suppose if you wanted to repeat, do that as well. We can restrict it, but we'll let Kendall, when she joins us in the room, she's just got her eyes out for John, tell us a bit more about what those trainings entail. But that does give us a moment then to pause. If any of you have any events coming up in the community that you would like to highlight for the group.
Okay, great. So then next, we obviously have our new members joining us today for the year. So I want to give you all an opportunity to introduce yourselves. So we can kind of maybe start with Cole.
Yeah. So my name is Cole Cruzy. I work for Johnson County Public Health. So some of you may know Jamie Gate, who was also on the board previously. I worked directly with her. So that's sort of kind of how I found out about this coalition. Through her, she knew she was resigning, and she voiced how you guys really like the public health voice in here. So I volunteered, and since I've only been working kind of professionally for less than a year, kind of wanted to join and kind of network and just kind of know more about kind of government, Iowa City, and just kind of everything going on. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Welcome. Yeah. Catherine?
I'm Catherine Peterson. I work for the University of Iowa Libraries, and climate change has always been an interest of mine. I've lived in Iowa City for 3 years, and I really like it here, and so I wanted to be on the commission to help shape the future of climate action in Iowa City.
Awesome. Yeah, well, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it. Would it be helpful for those of us who've been on the commission to introduce ourselves as well? I can go ahead and start. I'm Zach Harrelson. Just to kind of keep it brief, I went to the university here for grad school. I did my PhD and graduated in 2017. Went to Southern California for a little while and worked on a fusion energy project and sort of considered that my climate action and was really passionate about that. And then we wanted to move back to the Midwest. I kind of got out of that field in doing so, and so wanted to learn more and get involved and continue climate action where I could. And so I went through the Climate Ambassador program, I think we'll hear about in a little bit, and sort of learned about the things that the city is doing and just kind of got more involved from there. So then I've been on, this is my third year on the commission. So
Nice. I'm Mike Anderson. I got interested in just sustainability when I was a reporter. I think one of the catalyzing moments for me was reporting on Standing Rock in 2016. Since then, I've done some sustainable writing in my former job at Milwaukee Tool. I was writing kind of stories about sustainable technologies in construction. And yeah, I also really like Iowa City. It's my home, and I just wanted to join this commission and try to help make Iowa City a better place. And yeah, I think it's the second year that I'm on the commission now, something like that.
Hi, welcome. Thanks for joining the commission. I'm Brenda Shetty, and I have been on the commission for 3 years. I work at the University of Iowa in the Office of Sustainability and the Environment, and I'm actually serving as the representative for the University of Iowa. It's sort of the donut hole, as it is in Iowa City. And I'm always looking for ways to sort of connect what the city's doing with what the university is doing too. So, welcome.
I'm Wim Murray. I am the Mid-American Energy representative on the commission, but I also am a community member of Iowa City. So that is me.
I'm Nadia Krylov, and welcome. I remember way back 1 year ago when I joined. Yes, I think what motivated me to join was the last election. I just wanted to get out of our cozy little townhouse and act on something that has been close to my heart for many long years. I did one of the first trainings Al Gore did as the Climate Reality Project to present the slides, his 365 slides that were the basis of the movie, An Inconvenient Truth. So it was back there somewhere, when all this happened in the election, and I realized that I could act locally. And it's been really very fulfilling to see what's going on in Iowa City and to be a part of it. So, welcome.
I'm Emma Bork. I'm a senior here at Iowa. I study environmental policy and planning, so the environment is always on my mind. I work as an intern under Brenda. I've been on the commission for a year now, so yeah.
Ben Grimm. I work for the school district and represent the school district on the committee. I'm not sure how many years I've been on it, number. Yeah, I'm a horticulturist by trade, is what I went to school for, but I'm a manager within the facilities department for the school district. So,
Thanks, everyone. And yeah, thanks to those of you who have been here before too, and making the commitment again for the new year. So appreciate everybody being here. Okay, so for new business this month, we have some exciting stuff going on. We're getting updates from our Climate Action Grant awardees. So I believe we've got a few folks.
While I'm queuing those up, Kendall, would you like to talk a little bit about
yes.
an ambassador training?
So starting in February of this month, not of this month, next month, we're starting a new round of our Climate Ambassador training. So this training is meant to give citizens who want to learn more about our climate action and adaptation plan the chance to do so and kind of how it relates to different things that we're doing, and also connect it to things that they may be doing with any organizations they're a part of or just people interested in learning more. So that application will go live on our website sometime this week and stay open until the end of the month. Then it's a 10-week training program from February 10th through April 14th on Tuesday evenings. And we invite any commission members who are interested and haven't done the training before to participate in the training if you would like to. I think it should be fun. We'll have some guest speakers, discussions each week.
And if you're a commission member, you don't have to fill out the application. Just let us know that you'd like to participate. We'll get you signed up.
It's nice to have a pool.
And if you haven't done it, I would highly recommend it. I learned so much about the city's plan and what's going on, as well as just climate change in general and action and what individuals can do and what larger society can do. So highly recommend it.
What are the hours on Tuesday night?
It'll be 6:30 to 8:30 p.m.
Alrighty. Are we ready to go here?
Here we are.
Okay, so we are starting with New Life Apostolic Ministries.
You just want us to talk about the project?
Yeah, I'll just give a little heads up for those of you who are new to the commission. Every year we hand out a number of climate action grants, and as a requirement for that grant, we invite representatives from the organizations and businesses that get the awards to come in and tell us a little about where they're at with the project. We did this just for some historical context. In the past, we used to require written reports at the halfway mark and then again at the end of the year. And so we did this partly to reduce the paperwork burden on people who are getting the grants, and also to give you all an opportunity to hear more directly about the projects and ask any questions you might have. So with that, yes, if you would like to
Absolutely.
share a little about your
So I'm gonna drop my mask for a sec so you can actually see my face. I promise. Hello. I am the pastor of New Life Apostolic Ministries. I'll let you introduce yourself.
I'm Janelle Thompson. I'm the financial administrator.
Affectionately known by us and so many in the community as Mama D. First, I want to say thank you so much to the commission for awarding us funds. This project for us was so helpful. We were awarded funds to be able to upgrade our exterior lighting. Our building, we have been owners of this property, 1011 Arthur Street in Iowa City, Iowa. We're in the Town Crest District, if you are familiar. So we're on the east side, in an area that is predominantly low income. On the left side of our building is Hills Bank. On the right side is the Abbey Center Community and Mental Health. Directly across the street is Town Campus Apartments. And soon to open will be the neighborhood centers of Johnson County. And so there is more recent investment from the city in our area. We've owned our property for roughly 6 years, and we've been in the process of renovating, but we have not been in a position to do renovations to our exterior lighting. It's an area where it's more low income. There's a lot of foot traffic, and the investment in this property and our lighting has made such an improvement to our neighborhood, not only to our property, but our neighbors. Those that walk the area, our safety, our partners right behind our property is a senior citizen building. So I don't know what time the lights come on.
Right now, it's at 4.
It's at 4. So it's like, it's lit up like Fort Knox over on Arthur Street. You can't miss us. Our building sits up like a house on a hill. But it has just improved the whole area. The renovations that we made to the property, the lighting, the efficiency, everything that we've done to our building, it's really been important to us that we put good energy efficient products into the building. And so the investment of the Climate Action Grant and energy efficient lighting has only helped us improve, helped us continue to improve in this area. And so the specifics, I'll have Mama D talk about that, but I just want to say thank you for awarding us with these funds.
And the process itself was fairly simple and easy. I thank you guys for making it that simple, the application itself. Both Daniel and Sarah were very helpful in answering any questions I had and before filling out the application and anything I needed during the process. I ran across the fact that, and I can't really think of the name, the Lutheran Church on Court and First Avenue.
Our Redeemer.
Our Redeemer. I guess they had been awarded the project a year before. So I actually reached out to them just to see what their process was, who their contractor was, how it went for them, what do's and don'ts, any suggestions they had, just to make the process easier. I didn't want to reinvent the wheel if I didn't need to. And they were very helpful. We end up going with the same contract that they use, Shea Electric, just because I knew that they knew what the process was. I knew that it would be a reimbursement and everything of that nature. So, again, the process was simple, it was smooth, quick, and easy, and painless. I did get a little nervous when they said we needed to do the presentation. Both Daniel really talking to him assured me it's not, they're nice. He said you guys were nice. There wasn't anything to worry about. But yeah, it has made a difference. Just to give you an example, we bank at the Hills Bank and just making our regular deposits. The drive-through teller that I'm familiar with is like, you wouldn't believe the people that come through the drive-through and mention, like, we're just so excited that the church is there and they're rehabbing the building and it looks so good, and how it's not just beautifying the neighborhood, but a lot of that is. It's just bringing up the property values, and then just the safety issues of people walking past the bank and things of that nature and be in and around our building. So yeah, it's been a very, very valuable, and we greatly appreciate it.
Any questions?
Yeah, questions.
How many lights is it?
Ooh, nope. Because this, I think, I want to say there were 8 going across the front, then the 2 floodlights on each corner, but then around the back is the same thing. We have floodlights because this is just the front of the building that you see, but it's all around, and we had a couple of floodlights, well, all 4 corners. We did have, they were so bright that a couple of senior apartments were like, we can't sleep.
Can you adjust it just a little?
So they came around, and we definitely, don't want to offend any of our neighbors. So Shea Electric came back out, and they kind of, on one of the floodlights, they kind of painted a little film covering so it wouldn't be as bright into the apartments.
Yeah, I was curious if it was like an increase in the amount of lighting that you had from before, or if it was just
Yes.
the same number but just brighter LEDs, or
Brighter LEDs.
it
It's
is
the number of lights.
actually okay.
But they're just brighter. They were just different. The ones we had on front were not LEDs at all.
Got it.
And they had been there. The building was built in '73, and I don't know that the lightning has actually changed.
Yeah.
But yeah, so no, definitely same amount, just very bright.
Interesting. I'll be interested to see if you see an impact too in your energy costs.
We just received our updated budget billing. I have not had the opportunity because it just came like maybe a week ago to kind of review what the change was. Because the building was 2 separate units, we've got 4 different accounts with Mid-American Energy. So I have to view each account and see what adjusted, what hasn't adjusted, whether it's electric or whether it's gas. So I'll be reviewing that.
But I love it.
Good.
If you step foot on the property, we can see you.
Especially in the winter time now, because I work in the office, and I'm usually there till like 4:30. So like right now, it's already dark. It's getting a little better, but it gives me a better sense of security when I'm leaving the building.
Great.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice job. Yeah.
Okay, next up is Wright House.
That's me.
Alrighty.
Hello, everybody. I'm Andre Wright, and thank you also for providing grant funding for our location. We have a pretty interesting project, especially when it comes to environmental justice, because we took a former cleaning space, which was the Varsity Cleaners building, and we've converted that into an educational facility for creatives. And so that's our primary focus with our building. We were able to purchase some blinds that will help with energy efficiency, but also help with privacy and also help when we do presentations, and we sometimes do some movie viewings in our space, and with those blinds we could actually now see a film, because before we couldn't, because it kind of felt like we were in a fishbowl and everybody could see everything that we were doing all the time. So having blinds really helped us have a little bit more privacy. I can't tell you what the energy efficiency has been, because I think we just purchased them in July of this year, so we still have some time yet to see how this will actually help our building out efficiency wise. There's nothing glorious about blinds, so I can't go on like the LED lights or anything like that. All I can say is that it definitely makes our building look nicer, and I'm hoping that it'll improve the energy efficiency. With a 60-year-old building that is full of concrete, doesn't have any weatherproofing, it's a lot of different things that we have to invest into this space to actually make it habitable. We've been in this space since 2021, and if you guys know anything about cleaning facilities, I think the narrative around our space and our organization, we probably have one of the strongest environmental justice projects in our community right now. If you think about cleaning facilities and what they do, and the toxicity, the toxic chemicals that cleaning facilities use. And so I take a lot of pride in this space and what we've done already. And I think moving in the future that this will be one of the reputable environmental justice projects for our community to be able to hang our hat on and say, hey, look at what we've done with a 60-year-old building that's been in our community for a while. This could have been a high rise. I think at some point in the Arts District master plan, they had this earmarked as being something different than that. And so with my talks with the city and our purchasing of this space, we wanted to make it something for people who practice fashion, people who are in the arts community, and for youth who want to learn how to do some of the things that we do. So, open to any questions.
Well,
There's not a whole lot to really break off, so I can't really say.
Just a comment that more light, less light.
Both.
It's really, both has to be taken care of. You protect from light, get more
Oh, yeah.
light. Yeah.
One thing that I noticed with the lighting in the summertime with the sun, if we put clothes, like we'll have a rack that's near the window, our clothes will fade.
Yes.
So having those blinds actually help protect the clothes as
Exactly.
well. And so that's another thing that I was gonna mention about having blinds in our space.
Exactly.
So
We've heard that from business owners that have converted to LEDs inside their facilities as well. That, like Iowa Book, for example, the owner shared with us that before their LED light retrofit indoors, they had to get rid of a lot of merchandise that would fade just from being under the lights.
Yep.
And once they converted to LED lights, that was no longer a problem. So it eliminated a waste problem as well, which is, I just feel like so many of these discussions are great illustrations of like all the added benefits, that come with taking these kinds of actions.
any other questions?
I had one question. It's not really related to the blinds, though. You mentioned like the chemical. Have you had to do that at all, like remediation of chemicals on the site, that sort of thing?
Yeah, so before we actually could take possession of the space, we had to work with the DNR and the EPA, and they had to build a trench under the concrete and a pump in the back of our building to be able to push these hazardous chemicals out before we actually are able to take possession of the space. And there's a guy who comes out from the EPA, I believe, every 3 months and does an air quality test in our space. So it's just one of the things you have to live with when you work in an older facility like that. Cool. Thank you for that question.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Alrighty, and next up is Martin Construction.
So I'm Andy Martin, Martin Construction, and we do remodeling. That's what we do. I bought this shop in January of 22, and so it's got an office in the front, and we did quite a bit of work on that. to get that where we wanted it. And then the shop we didn't really put too much into. Because it was pretty good shape, except for the heating and cooling system there was pretty bad. We had one of those huge gas heaters that hangs from the ceiling, you know, and it blows hot air for 30 seconds and shuts off for 45 minutes, and you know, and then we just had a little air conditioning unit in the window for the air conditioning. And so we had the system put in. That's you can see the one that's the indoor air handler unit, which would normally be in an attic or something like that. But since it's a shop, we wanted to be able to get at it easily, and we actually added it. It's got its own normal filtration system, but because of the amount of sawdust, particularly that goes in there, we added an extra filter onto that. And we wanted to be able to get it that easily, so we just put it there rather than up in the attic. And then we didn't want a whole bunch of ductwork, so you know, you can see right here, that's where the air comes out of, but it blows pretty well, so it actually goes all the way across the room, and it's a decent sized shop. And then there's on the left side there, that's the return air. So again, this is not a beautiful lighting system, but it is a vast improvement for us in terms of comfort and efficiency. I haven't seen the numbers on that yet, but I do know that when we turned on that window air conditioner this year, our energy bill doubled. And I can't imagine that's going to be the case here with this thing, because it's just worlds apart that way. And there's also another unit on the outside in the back of the building that we don't have a picture of, but that's the air conditioning looking unit. And we were able to put that up on the wall in a place that is pretty well out of the way too. So it's just it's a great improvement. As you can see, the workers like it. And it's just really nice. And it's good also for us because we do remodeling. And it's really easy to sell granite countertops, but it's not really easy to sell energy efficiencies, right? We push closed cell spray foam insulation. We push, just increased insulation. It's easy to do LED lights because they work well. And people like them in general. And you do get that glamour benefit of it, of having good lighting. But energy efficiency is not an easy thing to sell. And I grew up back in the day when in school they taught you about climate change, right? And it was a hazard. So back in the 80s, that was when that stuff was coming out. And so I've been concerned about climate change and trying to do what I can. And so it's nice to be able to have this, and we can say, hey, look, these systems are great. They work when it's -10 out, because that's a concern for these heat pumps of all kinds, where the air source heat pumps is always a concern. A few years ago they didn't work real well, but now they do, and that thing is great. It's quiet, it's efficient, and so it is really nice for me to be able to have this experience and say, look, I've lived with it. It's great. You're going to enjoy this benefit too, and so. Yeah, thank you for giving us the chance to do this. It's wonderful, and something that we would have had to put off for, probably a few years to upgrade it, because it was not an urgent thing for us, but it was a great opportunity for us to do it. So, appreciate that. I guess also I'll say I was a climate ambassador last year.
Yes, we did it together.
And that was a great program. So if you haven't done it, you should do it, because it was really fun. But yeah, thanks again. It was wonderful. Any questions?
Yeah. Did you participate in installing it? Did you learn how to do it yourself? Or?
Oh no, that has to be done by a licensed HVAC installer. Mm-hmm. But I did participate. Yeah, we had to do some reinforcing of stuff. That little piece of 2x4 actually doesn't need to be there anymore. But still, we haven't gotten around taking it down. But we had to, for that unit that hangs on the wall. It's a tall unit. It was like 5 feet tall, and so originally we were going to put it up on the roof, and our installer was like, "I don't love it up there because we're down by the airport, and the wind just cuts through there, like crazy, especially up high." So we came up with this idea of hanging on the wall, and so still though the unit weighed 250 pounds, and it has to, whatever you hang on there has to hold 500 pounds. So we had to reinforce the wall. We got to do that. But no, you have to be a licensed HVAC installer to do that. At least this one. I think there are some kits you can buy and put in, because they're all kind of pre-done.
So this is local? There are people who are doing this locally?
Absolutely, yeah. Pretty much any heating person will do them now. It's interesting because the guy we use oftentimes he's a small one-man shop, and he's not Mr. High-Tech guy, but he's become very familiar with these systems. I mean, they really are gaining traction and gaining market share. And he was the guy like a couple of years ago who said nobody in only the United States puts in gas furnaces anymore. He said everywhere else in the world they're doing these heat pumps, and I was like, Mike knows that? Okay, you know. All right. So it was good, and it's nice to be able to get some experience with that.
Great.
Personally.
Thanks.
I was going to ask you. You mentioned in next steps is getting off fossil fuels in the shop and things like that. What would that entail?
We do have a little furnace for the office. The office is sealed up well. We did the spray foam, all the numbers there, but we do, that is sealed up well, so we don't use a whole lot of that, but I would like to get off of that. And we still kept that little, the ceiling, not little, huge ceiling mounted resonator heater. We kept that as backup, mostly because I didn't want to take it down. But I'd be happy to shut off the gas to it, that'd be great. Yeah. So yeah, we've got a water heater too. That's gas water heater, but that falls into the if it ain't broke, don't fix it category still. So, and I'd love to get solar on that roof because it's a huge long roof. It would work great. So that's in the plans there too. And then if we can get off fossil fuels for the trucks, that'd be great too. I have an electric truck, and I love that thing. It's Ford has gone away from that now. Now they're going back to the hybrid thing. But they should just sell them to fleets. They really should. Electric vehicles and fleets, it just goes hand in hand, right? I mean, if I take it home and charge it, and there's no maintenance costs, I put like $50 in that thing over 3 years for wipers, and that's it. I think I'm due for tires and brakes probably too. But I mean, there's just no maintenance on electric vehicles. It's awesome. That would be great too, but that's a real long-term goal. Unfortunately, buying trucks is expensive.
Yeah, great. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks to you all for coming in.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Appreciate it.
Why don't we pause here in case anybody would like to leave at this point?
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Nice to meet all of you.
Yeah.
It's good to see you come in.
Nice to have you.
Nice to meet you.
Bye, Andy. Good to see you.
Yep.
Thanks again. Yeah.
Right.
You would think we paid them.
Okay, cool. Well, then we are on to old business. So if everybody remembers, and for those of you who are just joining us, we've been going through the climate action plan and getting updates on, the accomplishments of particularly the last year, but kind of reviewing progress against the plan and looking at the different categories and the different goals that we've got and sort of prioritizing, given the past, 5 years-ish of activity, how do we feel about these goals now, where we're at, and looking forward, what are our top priorities now? And so we've been going through sort of category by category. So in our old business, where we're picking up is finishing the scoring of some action items related to adaptation and sustainable lifestyle. So I believe we've got the compiled scores for that. Is that right?
Yes, I included the finished tiers in the packets for you all. And then as part of that, we've also been adjusting the wording on some of them. And what I did when I put together these two sections was just follow the same pattern of wording that we'd used for the other two. We'd agreed that they each should begin with a verb. Some of them we were tweaking to just get a little more toward the intent. For things that said, begin or establish a project, we'll say continue. But as I was going through, there were some questions I had about some of these that I was hoping you could help weigh in on, if you don't mind us running through them really quickly. We'll start with adaptation. And I had a question about AE1, which is the item that asked us to develop a climate ambassador team. I wanted to ask if you had a preference between wording it as continue to offer climate ambassador trainings or continue to grow the climate ambassador program and related volunteer opportunities. Does anybody have strong feelings one way or the other?
You say it again?
Basically, it's do we want to continue growing the program, or do we just want to continue the program?
I would say continue growing program. I know you had mentioned something about programs changing a bit or whatever, so just, I guess, as you see fit.
So one question on the growing, how do you measure growth? Number of people participating, number of cycles in the year?
That's a very savvy question. I think if we had just continue to offer climate ambassador trainings, the measurement would just be adding people in. Continuing to grow the program, I think, goes beyond that and takes on evolving the program, involving more organizations, which is sort of the direction we're hoping to move in. So it would be more ambassadors and more opportunities. All right, so we'll go with continue to grow. On APP4, I just wanted to call your attention to this. APP4 was originally worded along the lines of create climate equity mapping and then develop program outreach plans related to that. Because we have already established the mapping exercises, mapping efforts, I inverted that one so that it now begins develop program outreach plans for populations highly impacted by climate change based on periodic reviews of neighborhood and population engagement. I think that description better covers what we're doing with the maps and also puts the emphasis more on doing something with them now. And I just wanted to make sure we're all okay with that.
Yes.
Great. APP3, my question on this one, this one comes at expand public tree planting. I asked if you would like us to say that we should increase funding for public tree planting to indicate support not just for adding trees, but also supporting them through watering and maintenance, which is something that our natural areas staff have had to do. Or do we want to stick with just the focus on expanding tree planting?
Well, what's the consequence? Have trees been dying because of a lack of support?
Yes.
I noticed that there's a couple of trees that were planted. Little trees didn't make it, but we did see people out there, and what you're saying is that there's not enough of that.
What I think it's probably more accurate to say when the plan was adopted, we just had an emphasis on planting the trees. Mm-hmm. Our natural areas management staff have recognized that there's a need to add maintenance to that as well. That, of course, costs money. And so by changing the wording to say increase funding for tree planting to help support maintenance, what we would be doing is showing a vote of confidence in those efforts rather than saying, no, put out as many trees as you can and let nature take care of the watering.
They need to be watered.
Yeah, it makes no sense to.
And then just go back and replant them a couple
Right.
years
Right,
later.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's got to complete the cycle.
Okay. So update that wording as well. AE2 is the item related to establishing resilience hubs, and it actually scored pretty low. it was a tier 3 priority, which means monitor and explore opportunities as they arise instead of maintaining or growing. And my guess is, reading through the notes that were on the score sheets, that this had to do with our discussion about there being limited funding in the immediate future. But I wondered if we changed the language, instead of saying establish resilience hubs, to be instead maintain partnerships with resilience hubs for research, resource sharing, and community engagement, which I think maybe more accurately reflects the intention. If we changed that wording, would we want to move it up a tier? Does that wording basically change where we think it should land? So right now it's 3, the lowest level tier. But if we change it to maintain partnerships with resilience hubs for research sharing and community engagement, if we change that wording, should we also move it up a tier?
Well,
Yeah, because then that would be like continue and then explore like the ways growth,
Okay.
I think. At
Yeah,
least.
I agree. With that wording, it needs to have some support, right, to maintain those partnerships. For me, when it was just established resilience, I was like, well, that's like completed
Yeah,
at this point,
that's what I
so we can just back burner that.
Yeah, so that's sort of my gut sense, so. But you know what they say when you assume things.
Well, it makes it more actionable because it's clear what the actions are.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, I'll revise that then too. And then the last one for adaptation, AR1, which was enact a new street tree ordinance to expand the city's tree canopies with new developments. I actually did, I called both our development staff and our forestry staff to ask a little about this one. And their sense was, as we had discussed in the previous meeting, that adopting a new ordinance is not going to do much to move the needle for tree planting. What they, our forester said in particular, is what might be helpful in an ordinance update is to increase species variety, to put in some specific language there, empowering them to try to encourage property owners and developers to move away from just, bulk buying maples. And actually, it's kind of a fascinating rabbit hole. We said, should we prioritize natives? And Tyler, who many of you met, was like, well, how do you define native? There are people who will argue that ginkgo trees are native because they were here before the Ice Age. So he felt that saying increased species variety was a better term and the preferred term in the industry. So my question to you is, do you want to leave it as enact a new street tree ordinance as is, or would you like it to have this updated wording about supporting increased species variety?
This is kind of vitally important to tree canopy coverage right now to increase varieties. So I'm for increasing varieties.
Okay.
Does that have something to do with the consequences of the derecho too?
No, it's more like emerald ash borer is the general public doesn't know all the varieties of trees that they could put out there. And even within like city ordinances for whether it's headlight screening or whatever, there just isn't enough freedom and variety in there. And so there's a huge push to increase the variety of trees instead of just everybody going out and buying a maple because that's what they know. It's
So
kind of diversifying your-
what is the benefit of that other than
Yeah.
does
So
it diversify it like the
Yeah.
way you diversify investments? That's
Yeah,
one thing goes
that's
up.
way to think of it. So like, there's insects or diseases that attack young trees, and there's ones that attack old trees, and there's ones that attack maples but not oak. And so by having more diversity, it kind of protects the canopy. So like there was Dutch elm's disease that came back. There's longhorn beetle that's coming through right now. EAB, obviously everybody knew about emerald ash borer, and so it's just about diversifying that. So like even within the school district, we actually monitor the percentage of age as well as the diversity, and then Iowa DNR actually gives us recommendations on how to diversify that, and we do that by individual school as well as our entire campus, and then we feed that information back up through the Iowa DNR. So it's super important.
Based on what you said, it just seems to me that the word a greater diversification, because variety seems cosmetic. You know, like we have different colors, and whereas diversity speaks to.
I did ask about that word specifically, and Tyler said that it would be better to say species variety just to make it absolutely clear that this is not DEI for trees.
This is the world we live in.
Yeah.
Variety is also a technical term within arboriculture too, though.
Yeah,
So,
but it is very much then technical there, but it doesn't communicate what diversity does.
Yeah.
And I think it would be a real stretch to connect it to DEI. I don't know. It depends on how important even this wording is.
Unfortunately, the way they go after people for DEI all too often is just literally just like a keyword search, and they don't even bother reading what it is. It's just like it's literally just Control F, and if they see the word diversity, like oh, and then they just so.
Don't we owe it, I guess, to push back?
We do. I think the fear is that if we enact a new ordinance now that has the word diversity in it, it risks the state preempting our ability to do that. In which case, maybe this is not the best arena to push back on it, given that it is trees and
Especially if the actual term that's used in research is variety.
Okay.
What about biodiversity? I know that would fall under a keyword search, but does that mean something different?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, biodiversity is also a technical term, but that's like a difference between like ornamental plants and shade trees and stuff like that.
Between types of trees, like trees and bushes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas variety is specific to like trees or plants. You can have different varieties.
Okay. Uncle.
So
I don't like it, but uncle.
If we change the wording, which it sounds like we're going to update street tree ordinance to support increased species variety, do we also want to move that up a tier? Because right now it's in the lowest tier as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Could you add something for variety to support resilience, or for resilience promoting variety, which would kind of say the same thing as diversifying? It's just more powerful than a superficial, from a civilian's point of view. It's just variety, meaning light green and dark green and fluffy and straight.
Well, I think there was also there's the term species variety, right? So it's
So what ends up
specifically
happening
talking about
is
different species of trees, not just colors.
But resilience is good.
We can mention it when, so the next step is we'll update the plan to include it. And then really our Neighborhood and Development Services Department, they're the ones who would take charge of enacting that or proposing the ordinance. And we can let you know what the proposed wording is when they get to that. So, all right, thank you.
Quick question. Is there an overlap between this and the tree planting initiative, or are they completely separate?
This one, so the tree planting initiative is for public areas. So when we talk about increasing tree plantings, we're talking about on city-owned properties. And then we have an item about incentivizing it for privately owned properties, which gets to our Root for Trees program.
Okay.
And then this one really has to do with when there's a new subdivision going in or a new redevelopment of an area, it triggers this particular ordinance so that we're basically hitting trees at multiple levels.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
It's a very good question.
I guess I was surprised we don't have something like that, at least maybe like lesser prohibiting certain kinds of maples or something.
We do have an existing ordinance that does require new construction to put in a certain number of trees. And actually, I did follow up on this question from the last meeting about how it gets enforced. Before our building inspector staff will sign off for occupancy, they actually do compare with the site proposal plan right down to the species level, saying you said you would put in oak tree here, we see an oak tree planted, check, so there is a pretty comprehensive review. And if we put in this about species variety, it will give that increased teeth. So it exists, it just doesn't have this particular provision, basically.
I deal with it more on obviously the school building side, but like there might be, let's say, 10 different trees that you could choose from. You could go out as a contractor, buy 200 of the exact same trees and get it for cheaper because you've just bought the lot of trees from the nursery and then put that through the entire block. And there's nothing, I don't think, at least on the commercial side, there's nothing that stops us from doing exactly that within school districts and stuff. So I'd imagine residential is somewhat similar. So
Yeah, and that was the concern raised by our forester, is that, someone would go out and bulk buy all one kind of tree. And if we say, we're prioritizing species diversity, or species variety, then it will create more of an incentive to get many different kinds of trees to help with that goal of increasing the representation in our canopy.
the other upside, and this is like the earlier discussion, is that actually almost forces the local contractor to buy locally, because you can't just go to the nursery and buy, or like some bulk nursery and buy, I want one tree. You have to get all the same varieties. So then all of a sudden they're buying more locally because they have to get the diversity. So there's lots of benefits to it. So.
It's so fascinating, the things you learn working on climate. And supporting local procurement actually is a nice segue to our sustainable lifestyle questions I had. This list is a little shorter. This sounds so lawyerly, but SLI1, which is Expand Community Climate Action Grants, I wanted to ask, just so I can refine the wording, is the intent to increase the funding, meaning we add more dollars to the pool, or is the intent to increase reach, meaning we bring more people in, like more people have an opportunity to get a climate action grant or more variety of projects, or both? Does anybody have any feelings one way or the other on that?
I thought it meant both.
Yeah. Is there more money?
Not at the moment, but
Right.
hope springs eternal. And in fact, if we say that we'd like to increase funding, that is one way of signaling that this is a priority for the commission.
Well,
Because to expand reach, you would have to have the money available, right?
Yes and no.
To make sure it's like the same amount and not less.
For me, reach has something more to do with engagement. I think the presentations you heard tonight are a great example of the efforts that we have had underway to try to reach out to folks who may not have known climate action grants are available to them and get just a wider applicant pool and see that the funding goes out to, folks who are more broadly representative of the community than maybe just environmentally focused organizations alone, which is really sort of where climate action grants started. You don't necessarily have to have more funding for that. You just have to have more staffing or more staff hours devoted to it. Of course, increasing funding is another way of increasing reach. When there's more money to go around, there are more people who can get it. So I'm hearing both. Great. Okay. Same question there. You'll note that for the prioritization tiers for sustainable lifestyle, nothing really rose to a tier 1 where we were looking to grow efforts in this area. But if we're saying we want to increase funding and increase reach, does that mean we feel that one should be raised up to a tier 1 priority? Or do we think it's okay to leave it tier 2?
I think tier 1 makes sense just to personally.
Yeah, for me that's hard. Like the goal is to expand. So how do we expand the goal of expanding? So I guess it doesn't matter.
Sounds like a staff problem to figure out.
well, I'm not clear on the goal itself. It's very vague, sustainable business practices. I don't see any, what would be the clearest sustainable business practice?
Well, I think you're skipping ahead to the next one,
Yeah.
but we can move to it.
Oh, this is kind of an umbrella category?
Well, no, we're just looking at the climate action grants at the moment. But what I'm hearing is we want to say that we're increasing funding and reach, and then we want to raise it up. And the argument for raising it up, I would say, is it just sends a clear signal
Yes.
to council, who you're here to advise, that's about to go into their budget sessions, that increasing funding for these grants is a priority for this body.
Right.
Okay.
And then
Makes
we create one of our actions or our metrics or
We can do that next
well,
week,
I
or
just
we
didn't
can-
know if that was the
Yeah.
plan for all the tier 1 things.
We have been doing it for the top scoring one in each item. We were debating a little about whether it would make sense to set metrics for adaptation and sustainability this year, just because we sort of, from a staff perspective, feel like we've got our work cut out for us with the ones for buildings and transportation, which have a clear greenhouse gas reduction tied to them. But if you as a body feel strongly that you would like to set a metric for expanding the climate action grants as well, I can come back to you at the next meeting with some proposals of what that might look like, similar to what we've done.
Yeah.
Yeah?
That's good.
Okay.
It might help to define that a little bit.
Yeah. Like a menu
What does that
of
mean?
practices, some kind of a menu of practices that are behind this idea of sustainable, because we just saw kind of a menu. These were blinds, and that was it's hard to classify. I'm just wondering if there is a menu
For
under-
SLE2?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's move down to that one. That one originally had been to launch a green business program, Climate Action at Work, and it was the lowest scoring item in this one. I think in part because we had a lengthy discussion about how that just did not work. One of the things I do when I go to rewrite these is in the accelerated action plan, there's like a short name for it, and then there's a longer explanation about what it is intended to do. And for SLE2, one of the things, well, this one didn't have a lot of explication, but when I started thinking about what else it could be, there are a couple ideas that came to mind. So let me just step back for a minute and say the question here is, do we want to eliminate this item entirely because it fell at the bottom and didn't work? Or do we want to replace it with something else? And when I think about what replacing it with something else might look like, I can think about one idea is to say we're going to partner with business serving organizations, so something like Greater IC, to promote sustainable practices in commercial operations. And what that might look like, it is vague, but purposefully so, is that in the past, Greater IC has hosted lunch and learns and has invited the city periodically to go. So we could go potentially to a lunch and learn and say, we've got all these projects that have been done now by climate action grant awardees. Maybe something like this would fit for your business, and do that kind of information sharing as a way to try to encourage business participation. Or this one's sort of similar. We could go with wording along the lines of engage local businesses with climate action resources such as training grants and utility incentives. That's something we've been starting to do with our economic development arm. Or we could, and I actually will advise against this one, sometimes you sleep on an idea. An alternative I put in was to engage residents such as climate ambassadors to promote sustainable practices in the workplace. And the reason I will just say maybe not this one is that each year when we have folks apply to be climate ambassadors, we ask them what ways they would like to take climate action in the community. And one of the ideas we have, you may remember this, Zach, is we say, are you interested in giving presentations to your work or talking to colleagues? Nobody ever does. No one. So we might get a little further, at least initially, with one of the other two.
Yeah.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Theoretically, if we were to remove this, where would the resources that were allocated for this goal go?
There really weren't many resources being funneled into it, in part because we had tried it and it wasn't working very well. And we just sort of pivoted our energies toward other areas. So if we change it, what we might do is try to pivot those energies back and think about how could we engage the business community.
Okay.
And my thinking is if we change the wording, what it does is kind of sync up with, we've got items about TIF funding and what have you. This would be an education item that says not just that we're going to have this funding available, but we're also going to have an engagement strategy running parallel to it, which really is what you need. I think we've learned that lesson over and over in order to get participation. Does anybody have any thoughts on? It sounds like we're leaning towards rewording it. Am I reading correctly?
Yeah.
For me, I do like that, and I kind of like the partnering with business serving organizations like Greater IC. I think that was something I had been thinking about, like how do we work with them a little better to expand influence and things like that. So
I've been serving on a committee of theirs, so this is also me being like, how do I cash in on that? But we can also reach out like to the downtown district. There are other business organizations we could work with. Is that
I like that.
the first one? All right, so that's the one we'll do. All right, 2 more and then we're done. SLE3, which is now worded as promote locally sourced and procured products, services, and foods for households, organizations, and businesses.
sorry. Will SLE2 then go up to tier 2? Did we discuss that?
We did not, but do you want us to move it up? That's a good question.
Any thoughts?
What do you think, Zach?
Now I'm thinking about it. I mean, I kind of think it should, if we're gonna put words to it, right? We should then think about doing something with it.
Action oriented in a
Yeah.
particular direction we haven't been going in before.
Yeah.
Those examples Sarah gave, they make it actionable.
Yeah.
And they make sense.
Yeah.
In terms of
And not too heavy
the
of a lift
resources
in terms
available.
of
Yeah.
resources available.
I will move it up. Thanks for catching that. All right, so SLE3 used to just be local procurement campaign - buy-in from local commercial groups. And that was another one where we sort of spun our wheels a little. I, based on what was written in the description for SLE3, rewrote it as promote locally sourced and procured products, services, and foods for households, organizations, and businesses. And I drew some of this wording from your comments in the notes as well. But it is enough of a cobbled together phrasing. I just wanted to make sure that wording works for everyone.
Can you say it one more time?
Promote locally sourced and procured products, services, and foods for households, organizations, and businesses.
So is this implying that locally sourced goods and services are more climate friendly
Yes.
for transportation reasons?
Mm-hmm. The other thing it does is I think add some specifics that didn't exist in this before. When we were discussing this in the scoring, one of the things I noted is that where we've had the most success is local foods, but we don't actually have anything in the plan that talks about encouraging institutional procurement of local foods. So this just gives a little teeth to that effort.
Yeah, I think it's more specific than the last way it was worded, so. It doesn't seem to substantively change what the goal is, right? So.
Is there some kind of a clearinghouse that puts people together to find local, like a
We did look at
dating service?
We did look at some efforts in other areas, including Eastern Iowa that had done it. It's not been terribly successful on the industrial level, partly because industrial entities kind of have their own things figured out. They don't really look to the city to help figure out how to procure things. A good example is Noparex, am I saying that name right? The factory on the edge of town that makes labels. We thought for sure they were here to make labels for Procter and Gamble, but it turns out when we talked to them, they're like, no, we're shipping our labels elsewhere. So we can mention to them like, gosh, Procter and Gamble's right down the road, and Procter and Gamble can put their hand up, but they both answer to corporate entities that are not locally, like Procter and Gamble answers to an entity in Cincinnati, and Noparex, I'm almost certain I'm not saying that right, they answer to a company in Norway. And so if the Norway parent company says, nope, you're getting all your labels from, my brother's company over here,
Wow.
it's a little out of our hands.
Not local, but not local.
Yeah. Where we have seen success though is really encouraging the use of local foods and local food establishments. And I think there are some opportunities for growth, which is one of the reasons I called them out specifically. And I also think this wording lets us talk about things that do exist here locally with companies that are also functioning locally, rather than trying to chase down an organization that's going to source something for a local entity, if that makes sense.
That sounds wonderful. If you have ideas how to do that, let's do it.
Cool. All right, last one. This one should be easy. SLCP 2, which is continue to implement strategic communications plan for climate action. That one was originally worded as develop a strategic communications plan. We have that plan. We have been enacting it. Oh no, wait, I'm looking at the wrong one, aren't I? SLCP 2.
Operations guidance.
Develop operations guide. So this one we talked about how there's some hurdles to developing a sustainable operations guide, in that, well, one, those sorts of sustainable resources do exist, but they tend to be industry specific. And most businesses do not look to City Hall to tell them how to operate. My thought on rewording this is, rather than say develop a sustainable operation or develop sustainable operations guidance, why don't we say we're just going to promote the guidance that's already out there and try to hook people up, rather than city staff trying to imagine what makes sense for a Procter and Gamble in town, which I'm going to tell you right now, they use a lot of robots. I don't know anything about robots or how they're sustainable, but I bet we can track down that information and share it as needed.
You know about optical sorters.
I do know about that. I actually made that comment on their tour. I was like, oh, our recycling process uses a robot like this. Anyway, are we okay saying develop or promote instead of develop?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for your patience with this process. My intention is for the next meeting, I will compile all of these into one place so that you can see buildings, transportation, all of them side by side. And then with that being finalized, what we'll do is pretty it up in a document, give it an introduction about the next 5 years, and pass that along to council so that they're aware this is where the priorities are falling for now.
Great.
Cool. All right, then I get to get out of the hot seat and turn it over to James, who's going to present on our last section, waste.
I thought you were going to start and then I was going to support.
Oh, no.
I mean, I can. Yeah. Do you want me to just go through 2025?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. In order, I assume?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Hello, everyone. I think I know most of you. I'm Jane Welch. I'm the city's recycling coordinator. And Sarah and I have been going through lots of brainstorms on what progress has happened over the last 5 years. And if you have questions about what's happened previous to 2025, we can certainly discuss that too. But focusing on 2025 for the Engage the Public to Compost Organic Waste. So we have our Love Food Fight Waste education program that I think many of you are familiar with. So that is our food waste reduction engagement program with the community. And really it focuses on tips and strategies to make food waste reduction approachable in our daily lives, whether it be at home or at work, or on the run. And the update with that is it's a program that's continuing to grow, which we're really excited about. It's a collaboration between our food rescue organization, Table to Table, and the city of Iowa City. Been around since 2022 and just continuing to evolve it. So this year, you guys are catching me about a week before our work session. So more to report in about mid-January in terms of all the things that are coming up in 2026. One of the things that we are exploring, which we're really excited about, is we're tentatively writing a children's book, which is going to be all about food waste reduction education, and focusing on some campaigns that you've seen before that are timely, depending on what's going on. For example, May and June is a great time to talk about local food. August, September is a great time to talk about gleaning. November, December is a great time to talk about holiday food waste reduction. So there are certain things that are consistent, and then certain things that are going to be new as well. So that's moving forward. Our AmeriCorps team has done a great job representing the compost bin sale via events such as the partnership with New Pioneer Co-op. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that with the AmeriCorps team?
Yeah, so we had an opportunity a few years ago to do a bulk buy of compost bins, and although folks who live in Iowa City have the ability to get curbside compost if they're living in a single family residence, some folks nonetheless don't have opportunities to do that. So we wanted to get some compost bins that could be purchased for folks who, if they wanted to set one up at a smaller multifamily property, for example, we would be able to offer those bins to them at a discount. But we also did the bulk buy in collaboration with neighboring communities, with the idea that our landfill, although Iowa City owns it, it serves the whole county. And so if we could engage neighboring jurisdictions that don't have curbside composting and make some home composting resources available to their residents, that would enable them, well, it just helps cut down on organic material going to our landfill ultimately, which serves our goals. I will openly say, our hope was that we would have like this wildly successful event, and then one of the neighboring jurisdictions would put their hand up and say, that was great, we'll host it next year. And we would just send the AmeriCorps team over to support it. What really happened is our neighbors were like, good job, let us know when you want to do it again. So no one quite picked up the baton, and we had some leftover compost bins. So our AmeriCorps team actually took charge of those leftover bins and has partnered with organizations here in the community to help try to continue to get them out.
And let's continue to talk about that, because I will say one of the big things we have going on this year is our compost facility expansion. And one of the, I would say, I don't know if philosophy is the right word, but bear with me for a moment. Similar to our Leave the Leaves campaign, where we encourage residents to let their leaves be at home, to either mulch them into the lawn or use them as garden cover for putting gardens to bed. There's a variety of at-home applications. We very much within that program encourage the use of the leaf vacuum program and the use of our curbside composting program. We represent this as another alternative and something that's even more climate friendly, because again, you're eliminating those transportation emissions, and you're eliminating a lot more processing that has to happen once those leaves are collected at the curb. And so similarly, as we are expanding the compost facility, we're also expanding home composting education as just another alternative to what you can do, and this is one means of doing that. So okay, and then finally, for the first engage the public to compost organic waste would be holiday composting education campaign repeated. So we've gotten in the habit from usually beginning of October through the start of January of doing a step A through F holiday outreach, starting with Halloween, so we talk about pumpkins, and we started a new thing this year of saying, use your pumpkin, consider baking with it, bake the seeds, etc. You've got options before you even consider composting it on site or, curbside composting, moving into Thanksgiving and just holiday parties and celebrations where there could be a lot of food. And then the whole vast world of materials that you encounter during the holidays, different types of gift wrap and bows and packaging and everything. So just a lot of education around that. And then holiday trees, of course. So that's sort of a good transition into the next one, education campaigns for neighborhoods to reduce waste consumption at the source. So with this one of the things that Sarah and I put together in 2025 was the reusable food containers and dishware grant. So this launched to assist local entities. It could be restaurants, could be theaters, could be nonprofits even probably, depending on the situation, to switch from single-use items to reusable. Is it fair to announce the one that we have funded so far?
It is, and I will also make note that this actually is a great example of a way that we've tried to expand the climate action grants without necessarily having more funding to marshal. By partnering with resource management, basically we offer to go in halves on any grant that gets given out in this program. So we're partnering our budget line with theirs in order to get a little more money out for reusable.
And it gives more, I would say, breathing room within the climate action grant program to focus on lots of climate action topics. And then this can pull an element of waste reduction into a separate program that's still offering a great funding support. So the one application that they're going through the process of the purchases and the transitions from single use to reusable for different items such as popcorn bowls. So if you've been to Film Scene and ordered popcorn, you may have seen the option for reusable bowls. Highly recommend.
That was us.
Give this a try. So if you're, noticing or having conversations with different entities in the community that you feel like could benefit or have interest in a program like this, please feel free to connect them with Sarah and I or to the information on the website. We're wanting to further expand that program. So Food Waste Prevention Week efforts. So this kind of goes with the first one and the second goal here. Efforts highlight importance of reducing food waste. So we are working on and conscious of food waste reduction all the time. This was really a more formal way to engage the community with food waste reduction. So this was actually made an official week last year in April. It is a national, possibly international campaign that you can opt into participating along with a number of other communities, especially across the United States. And so they are for 2026 officially moving the week from April to the end of September, start of October. So we are going to make that adjustment. You'll still see the formal proclamation this year. It's just going to be moved to a little bit later in the year. Donation drive-through this year, so 2025, we diverted approximately 15,000 pounds of material from the landfill. So this is our continued move-out program at the end of July. We work with a variety of nonprofit organizations to immediately divert quality materials or quality goods such as food and toiletry items to local nonprofits, so Table to Table, Antelope Lending Library, Crowded Closet, Habitat for Humanity Restore, and then Houses into Homes are some of the nonprofits that we work with. And then we also recycle batteries, light bulbs, books, and mattresses as well. And then a new program that came about in 2025 was our art and craft supplies pop-up events. So this was like a free secondhand store for art and craft and school supplies. We had anything from an extensive stamp arts collection to lots of knitting and sewing and school notebooks and binders and art kits, art books, a whole variety of things. And really the goal of this, and we'd like to do more focused material category programs like this for reuse. The goal of this was we were having a lot of conversations, and especially Iowa City being such a creative community, lot of conversations with community members that had, you know, a can of paint that was barely used. They opened it, it was the wrong color, right? Or some yarn that they started a project but lost interest in it, and there was still, you know, mostly a package of yarn that was still in really good shape. And there isn't really on a regular basis a market for these types of materials. You can't often donate a half can of paint to a secondhand store. So we thought, let's create a space for this to be, you know, a valuable category of material. And overall, we diverted over 3,000 pounds within just a few days. And it was also a great opportunity to connect with local groups and organizations that needed supplies. We had, I think, I would have to look at the exact number, but I think over 30 organizations, whether that be schools, youth groups, churches, theater groups, that were able to get supplies that they needed or donate supplies that they no longer needed.
Is that a single event or is that an ongoing thing? I didn't catch that.
So first year was 2025, but we do plan to repeat it.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like I would get some disappointing calls if we didn't at this point. So I'm feeling like it's going to be an annual event at this point.
The school district, we often sit on stuff that's like, what do we do with this? And there's a good solution. And so there might be some opportunities there within the operations side
Yeah.
versus the individual schools. So.
Then let's keep talking.
Yeah,
It'll
for sure.
We did it in August this last year. We're thinking it's probably going to be August again because we tried to hit sort of the start of the school year for the time that typically students or teachers would be school shopping. So likely beginning of August. Yeah. We're still selecting the date.
Businesses also, where I work, we suddenly will have like this table where we all bring, you know, all these folders that nobody uses anymore, things like this that could be. And a lot of times I used to take them to my kid's art teacher because I was like, but I don't have kids in school anymore. So that'd be an awesome way for businesses to, you know, not just put it in the landfill.
Yeah.
So
It's not in Iowa City, but there's a store in Cedar Rapids, the Create Exchange, that does that too.
And we would love to be able to have a permanent location. This was sort of okay, we don't have a permanent location right now, but I think we could accomplish this through at least a pop-up model. So if at some point we could move to that, awesome. But for now, similar to what we do with some of our mattress and battery programming, doing it in pop-up style to be able to still offer that engagement without having a permanent location.
Have you talked to the Repair Cafe folks about that too? To pop up something like that while they're having their event too?
I don't think there'd be space for that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I mean, they're doing great for what they're doing, but I just wondered if that might, it would be a good fit.
Repair Cafe has, for the last several events, been at Eastside Recycling Center, same location as where we've done the art and craft event. And it's been a great location. The one thing is the education center is not very large, but I'm gonna think more on that. I like it, definitely complementary groups. Yeah.
Before we move on to the next item, I just want to be conscious of time. We've got the rest of Jane's report to get through and then a little assignment for our next meeting. Is everybody okay staying 10 extra minutes tonight? Okay. All right, we've got 15
I'll speed
minutes.
talk. Okay. Any further questions on that before I move to the next goal? Okay. Incentivize construction waste diversion. So the update for this, there's been a lot going on behind the scenes related to construction and demolition waste. I will say one of the public facing programs for this past year was updating, really expanding our shingles recycling program to encourage and increase shingles recycling for service area customers. It's a campaign in which we've done a lot of direct outreach to construction companies and roofing companies, those that are oftentimes dealing with the large tonnage of, it's specifically asphalt roof shingles. And so that, in addition to some public outreach to local residents to say, you know, advocate for recycling with whoever is replacing your roof, whether it's yourself or if you're working with a company, to advocate for this option. So we were able to due to our contract being up, able to renew that this past year. We worked with LL Pelling for this program. And we did also go through the process of researching, are there any other vendors available? Of course, before confirming with LL Pelling for a renewed contract. And they're the only one available at this time. And we are very glad to be able to continue that partnership with them. And have that reassurance that this program is continuing from a contract standpoint for many years. And so we're able to, with confidence, continue to expand that engagement with the community. Yeah. And this is also an area of construction and demolition waste that, we have a market for, we've got an outlet, so let's expand it, let's continue to strengthen that program. We are, over the next few years, continuing to look, and I think at this point I'll move us into the next goal, develop a policy ordinance requiring specific demolition or deconstruction recycling standards. We are continuing to look at a variety of construction and demolition categories to see where there is feasibility of diversion. So where could we continue to reduce the tonnage that's going into the landfill and move it to a recycling or reuse program where possible. One of the things that we did in 2024, Sarah and I and Jen Jordan, our resource management superintendent, and then Becky Soglin, who's our Johnson County sustainability coordinator, we all went to Chicago to visit a construction and demolition diversion plant to really see how are they doing it and what material categories differ than what we have in Iowa City. Are there markets that they have that we don't have? Are there things that they're doing that we could be doing? And from that, an exciting thing that started last year was we officially have a draft RFP created for a feasibility study that we would like to do related to a recycling transfer station and a construction and demolition recycling facility. So this is us researching if something like this is possible, because there's not really one in the state of Iowa right now for looking at the construction and demolition materials. So it's looking at anything from concrete, bricks, composting, shingles, ceiling tiles, flooring, doors, anything and everything that you would associate with building materials and construction and demolition. Looking at, what else could we be doing within Iowa City and maybe create a regional market for that type of material. So that is kicking off. And then the note on recycling transfer station, this is also grouped with some research to determine if it's feasible for us to have our own recycling station in-house within the city of Iowa City. What this would mean is currently we drop our recycling off at a separate facility. So it's looking at, could we do some of that processing ourselves and handle some of those processing as well as logistics within the city of Iowa City. So just looking at what is possible over the next few years for that. Okay, mandating signage to assist waste collection. The main update for this one is continued communication with local haulers, also regular contact with students, tenants, and property management companies, just to clarify as there's case-by-case situations that come up, because every building, every apartment building is a little bit different in terms of what type of setup they have. And so we work with Housing Inspection Services on that, just as a case-by-case basis. And then also confirming this year with local haulers that, they have the outreach and educational materials available for whether it be an apartment company or a local business to ensure that they have the information they need to use those programs correctly.
I have a question about that.
Yeah.
I've heard from students that some apartment buildings only have a certain type of recycling, like they're only doing corrugated cardboard because now we can't take it to the landfill.
Sure.
Are you working with apartment complexes on the types of recycling that they're doing and what's required?
We
there?
are, and the majority of those situations are improper signage.
Okay.
Where it is single stream recycling, the bin does accept mixed paper, metal cans, plastic bottles, and cardboard. It's just the bins need a signage update.
Cool.
Yep. So similarly, on a case-by-case basis, and students and tenants are great about reaching out. I'm either the first contact point, or sometimes they go directly to Housing Inspection Services. Either way, we end up with the same staff member support and looking into what could be improved in each of those situations.
Wonderful. Thank you.
We fight that in the district, and initially it was signage, but we got the right signage, but people are just, no matter how much information I push out,
Yeah.
they just aren't looped in for whatever reason. And to the point that we had City Hive writing an article about how dare you not be doing single string recycling, and we're like, we do. It was interesting, so yeah.
Yeah, it's complicated, recycling.
Yes. Okay, next one, require all parks, public space rentals to recycle and use green event best practices. There's no recent update on this. We did successfully start can and bottle recycling at athletic fields with the Parks Department, Parks and Recs Department. Okay, initiate a methane feasibility study. So the most recent update on this, I'll share the landfill side, and then Sarah, I'll let you discuss the other updates with this. From the landfill perspective, so as we know, there's two main sources of methane within the city of Iowa City, our wastewater treatment plant, and then the Iowa City landfill. So the landfill a few years ago did a methane gas feasibility study. As you know, there were no immediate actions taken on that in terms of feasible options. So really at this point, the landfill's restarting that discussion. To figure out, renew what are our current options that we can be doing. I mentioned we've got the compost facility expansion coming up this year, starting in spring, which we've been building this for 3 years, figuratively. Now we're actually literally building it, so we're really excited about that. The goal this year, just because there's going to be a heavy footprint of construction at the landfill, is to get through completing that compost facility expansion, and then the next big project that we're wanting to look at is what to do with the mix of methane gas at the landfill. So no big update on that, just knowing that it is a priority. Really right now, we've got to get through the compost facility expansion, and gas is one of the next projects.
And as you know from previous meetings, we are moving forward on the methane capture system at our wastewater treatment plant. We have broken ground on that. The facility is in the process of getting upgrades. We anticipate being able to produce gas and put it on the pipeline by 2027. So in another year, we should be doing that. And right now where we're at is staff, we have to sell the gas to someone. And so we're in the process of trying to figure out how to do that. I think we're going to bring in an energy broker to work with, but we've identified some potential energy lawyers who can help us with it. And this is another great example of, like, when I say you learn so much working in climate. A year ago, I knew nothing about contracting for natural gas. Now I know so much. So that's where we're at with that.
Do you want me to share the tonnage update on shingles real quick, since that's the metric?
Hold on just one second.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm getting excited.
So, as you may recall, this section's a little different from the other sections where we've been voting on how to reprioritize, in part because we were borrowing the process already used by Resource Management for their systems to set their metrics. And we thought, rather than us duplicate that and possibly contradict it, we're just going to go with their process and use whatever metric rises to the top for them. The one that most aligns with the Climate Action Plan is related to shingles recycling. So Jane can share with you what the metric is going to be for this section.
So right now, the objective and target that we have active with our environmental management system program is a 2-year goal. It's going to go well beyond that. It's just that's the formal how it's written within our comprehensive planning. So the goal is to increase tonnage of roof shingle recycling by 10% of FY 2024 baseline. So in FY 2024, we had a total of 335.1 tons of roof shingles recycled via that program. We're still working on FY26, but in FY25, we went well above that 10% increase, which is great. We had a total of 428.89 tons. And again, we're still very active within the fiscal year of doing that engagement and outreach. So hoping to see that number go up even more.
Clarification question. What's stopping it from being 100%? Is it to be able to get rid of it to a company, or is it?
Yeah, making sure the loads are clean is a big one.
Okay.
Sometimes there's garbage contamination mixed in from the construction job. Certain things are okay, like if there's still nails and shingles, that's okay. Just with how we process them, we can remove that. But if there's significant other materials, that's usually what ends up with a load going down to the landfill. Yeah, there's definitely a financial incentive to recycle shingles. It's significantly reduced cost per tonnage disposal. So for shingles, it's I believe $30 per ton currently to recycle, versus if you're looking at a ton of garbage, closer to approximately $50, depending on if you're from Iowa City or non-Iowa City service area. So there's definitely financial incentive to divert through the recycling.
Is there asbestos in shingling? Is there like certain dates that you don't accept it, or is that ever a concern?
I would have to ask our landfill
Just
manager
curious.
to see on that. I would not be surprised if there is some that they're a little bit more cautious with.
Yeah.
I would have to ask Jason on that. Yeah.
Interestingly, one of the things we're thinking about broadly, all municipalities we're facing an asphalt shortage in coming years. So that may add impetus to recycling the shingles. We'll need all the asphalt we can get our hands on.
And we're keeping it local too, which is awesome. I love that one.
That's what I was going to ask, is what does the recycling look like? Is it shredding them and then reconstituting them? And
Yeah.
it sounds like it's local.
It's local, and they're using the material in road surfacing. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, cool.
Thanks, Jane.
Yeah. Thank you.
Alrighty. So that does it for old business and new business. Public comment. Doesn't look like we have any members of the public. So any recap? Did you say there was one other thing we
Yeah,
had?
so we'll just confirm that our next meeting is going to be February 2nd in this room. Hopefully everybody feels confident on how to get here. And then in your agenda packet for today, we included information on the Pearl Score program. A representative of that organization is going to Zoom in to speak with us at the next meeting. And so we thought we would provide that information a little in advance to help you prepare. But also, we'd like to ask each of you to go to the Pearl Score site between now and the next meeting. And you'll see I've brought it up here. They recently completed a project where they have assigned a score to every residence in the United States.
Oh.
And so what we'd like to ask is those of you who have homes or have parents or friends who might give you an address to use, to try putting in your address. And I here am going to use the governor's address because the governor's mansion is publicly owned, so it's safe. You'll see it will pull up and generate a score for that property.
Oh gosh.
And then when you click see more details, it's going to give you some specifics as to how it arrived at that score. But it's also going to give you the opportunity to claim that home yourself. And basically what they did is just color very broad strokes from publicly available data. But if you claim your home, you can input more specific data about the energy system you use, or if you've added solar to your roof or things like that, to improve your score. And we'd like you to try it out as a kind of ground truthing so that you can bring questions to the meeting, but also help us figure out, does this feel like something that would work for other residents in Iowa City? Would it be meaningful? And I will also say that the person who's going to come and speak at our meeting said when she put her own address in, she was disheartened by her score. I have done it. I had the same experience.
Mine says typical.
How do they know? Like, for example, we retrofitted the roof, the insulation in our roof. How would they know that?
They may not know it. If they do know it, it could be from combing through permits that were issued for any kind of home upgrade, but I don't know how far down they can drill.
Yeah.
But if you are disheartened by your score, the person coming to speak at the meeting has offered to do one-on-ones with anybody who'd like to go through and improve their score.
Nice.
So if you would like that, please reach out to me and I will connect you with her between now and the next meeting so you can talk about that process as well. Or you can try doing it on your own and say, this may not work for lay people, or, we want some good honest feedback on it.
Alternatively, you can shake your fist and go home.
That's true. And I want to be clear, we are not asking anybody to disclose where they live or share your scores. You don't have to do that. This is really just for your own information. And if you'd rather not do it, that is fine too.
Can you clean the governor's off? Probably shouldn't say that.
Very good. Awesome. Also, I just remember I was seeing in the packet the picture of the windrow turner.
Oh, yes.
That's really cool. Thanks for sharing that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
That is our brand new Vermeer ride over self-propelled windrow turner.
Yay.
And it's going to increase just the efficiency of how we process the materials, so we will be able to move more material through. And then the other quick update on the compost facility is we've completed the facility design with Shive Hattery and SES Engineers, and moving into, we just officially last week, I think, listed the construction project on the city website, and now moving into construction stage, which is going to be a big year.
Exciting times ahead.
But we had a great field trip out there this last year. It seems like a long time ago. So if you do it again, maybe the new members.
Anytime that you're interested, we can certainly get
It's
something
really an
scheduled.
eye-opener.
Yeah.
Well, thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
All right. So any last action items to cover? I think we covered it all at this
We
point.
just need to move to adjourn.
Yep. So a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All right. Any
It's coming
opposed?
second.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for being here. And we will see you next month.
Thanks for staying a little later.
Yes.